What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. When I did the piece about the Serena Williams quote unquote meltdown, I'm over it. Like many of us, this girl, Naomi Osaka, was new to me. And I was touched by her presence. And though I was dealing with Serena, she obviously was a part of the story by default. And I found myself wanting to know more about her. And what immediately popped out to me was the fact that there is this denial going on of her Haitian / African background. Now, I didn't really flinch at the last name Osaka because we can have any last name, you know. I mean, there's black folks as black as my do-rag with Zionist last names, you know, Schomburg and Goldberg, and it just, you know, so that didn't really do anything. And her first name is Naomi. But for me, I was looking at a black woman. Period. Like, that's a sister. You know, now they were saying, you know, Japanese tennis player, Japanese champion, Japanese, but that, you know how you seeing something in front of you and your mind is telling you one thing, but you're hearing something else to your ears? Kind of like 9/11, you know, when you see the footage of the Twin Towers, your eyes see buildings exploding to dust in front of you. But if you're watching this white devil-ass media, there's always some commentator speaking, saying, yeah, and the buildings were just collapsed. The building collapsed. But they're telling you one thing, you're hearing one thing in your ear, you're seeing something else with your eyes. Your eyes are telling you exploding to dust. But they're pushing in your ear collapsing. And what inevitably happens in the dumbest society on earth, America, is people throw that out. They're not even paying attention to the discrepancy. It doesn't even cross their mind. And then when they recite it to someone else, they say buildings collapsing. They don't even know it. They don't even know it. This is why I've always said to you many times that you will regurgitate something that is not your own and defend it as if you came up with that authentically. Meanwhile, you have no idea that you look like an idiot, first of all, that you're defending an irrational position, and you're not even aware that it's not your own, and that you're defending it. So that same hocus pocus, we'll call it, went on and is going on with this girl. Now, just like when they present to you these fictional biblical accounts in movies of what are clearly African people, but they have nothing but a white cast, you take that in without any objection. You should immediately turn the channel or immediately storm out of the theater. But you are under the clutch of the hocus pocus. It's so normal in the society to have you representing something or even exposing you to something that is clearly a lie in your face, and you have no objection to it. None. Until it's something really, something that's so against the universe, we'll say that then it becomes ridiculous. And so even against your own will, as with everything else, even against your own will, now you are protesting that and accidentally representing the truth. I hope you're understanding what I'm telling you. Now, an example of that would be, they say, and now starring Michael Jackson, and you see like fucking not Michael Jackson. And you go, wait, that's not Michael. That's not Michael. That hits a different center of the brain, and this is why you're having the reaction. You go, wait, that's not Michael. But why didn't you have that same response when they said building collapsing, when you're seeing building exploding to dust? I don't want to get too deep for y'all, but stay with me. This is very important. It's very important to what I'm trying to get you to understand in this piece. So, now they can give you Japanese tennis player, Japanese US Open champion Naomi Osaka. And then you start, even in your personal conversations, maybe you're just at the hair salon, maybe at the barber shop, wherever you at, and you say, yeah, that Japanese girl, they got that Japanese girl. You're just going with it. You're just being pulled along by the wave. Now here you are, independent and on your own now. You can say and express whatever you want. But the hocus pocus is what's coming out of your mouth. Why is that? Huh? How'd that happen? And I always tell you, how you think and speak about anything is how you relate and react. Think and speak, relate, react. So, language, there's that word. Y'all knew it was coming. Language is important. That's why I stress language so much, everybody. I'm always telling you, language, 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 language. What they say, how they say it, and what language do they use to say it. That's very important. Intensely important. Now, Tiger Woods. We see a brother traipsing out on the greens. So, we immediately had a visceral reaction when he sat up there on, I think it was Oprah, and was saying, well, I'm Cablinasian. And we went, wait a second, because our wires went black. Wait, what? What did you just say? Because that was an immediate conflict, but you had a reaction because it was personal. You're not the building exploding. That's not a picture of you. Huh? But this is you. You see you sitting up there talking to Oprah. And you're feeling a sense of oneness psychologically and subconsciously with the image on your screen And so the moment that he says, well, I'm cobbling Asian, whoa, wait a minute, just a second. And also on top of that, you're giving us an $850 word that we can't even spell, and we're not even ready for it, and we can't even afford it. You see? So we pushed back. Tiger out there trying to say he ain't black. You see what I'm saying? Because that's in conflict. Well, we know. We know. We see, and we know. So, bring in now Naomi Osaka. And we seen a sister. That's a sister. She got all the requirements to be a sister. You see what I'm saying? That's a sister. Now, we don't care about the slant of her eyes because we know black folks that have all kinds of features. We know it. And any mixings that may have gone on before your fruition that we witness, we automatically, I don't want to say discount that, but it is of no issue to us. We know our own when we see it. We know it. When we saw, first of all, when we heard Mariah Carey, we said, that's a sister. We know it. It is. And even when we saw her, it wasn't a scandal. We still said, that's a sister. We didn't need to see her mama and her daddy. We know that's a sister. So any mixings are of no consequence to us. The mixings only matter when we don't see and perceive our own in front of us. When there is conflict with the energy even that we feel from that. So, to help you really understand what I just said to you, you can't just put up some white heifer in front of us and say, oh, that's just a mixed sister. We go, no, that ain't a mixed sister. That's not a mixed sister. Mariah Carey is a mixed sister. This that you showing me, that ain't no mixed sister. That's a white heifer. You see, we know it. We sniff it. We feel it. It just is. And we're never wrong. That's why I was so astonished at my people over this Rachel Dolezal bitch. Because as soon as I seen her, I said, that's a white bitch. What are you telling me? That is not a sister. It's not. Because why? I didn't sniff it and I didn't feel it. You see, blackness is more than just our color. We know that. But what many of us don't understand is that blackness is also down to its vibration. And that is what we feel. The vibration. We're not sitting around calling it a vibration and we've got some Geiger counter that tells us, no. It is instinctive with us. We know it. We don't got to talk about it. We don't got to say it to nobody. We don't even got to share it with each other. We just know it. We just know it. Even, let me be a little bit more specific for you. So that when you could put a white person in the best black face ever done by a makeup artist ever. And we go, that's a white dude. That's a white dude in blackface. They got him in black makeup. But that's somebody white. Because why? We know. Let's go back to nature. I'm always telling you about nature. I always tell you, creation is not for decoration, everybody. It is information. Everything in creation is information. A dog is never confused about another dog. Ever. E-V-E-R. Capitalized, bold, italicized, and glowing in the dark. Ever. Ever. And so either are we. And that's what threw me off about with my people as it related to the Rachel Dolezal bitch. Because I'm like, are you really serious? My people are actually, they are falling for this? Like, even after the scandal was brought to light, you still had black folks saying, I mean, she still looked like a black woman. No! Now we gotta drag your ass into a warehouse someplace and handle you. Because why is your vibration off? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that is the attack that you're under now. They are aware of the vibration. They know it. And Rachel Dolezal was a test of that vibration to see how far can we get. She didn't just come out of nowhere. That was a test of your vibration. This is why the upticking and the escalation now of all things interracial. Every damn commercial on TV, interracial. Every television show, everything, guests on a show, anything, damn it, everything. Interracial because of the vibration. Because once you lose the vibration, they can do anything. Every single one of you will be speaking like them and against your own, without even breathing. And we see evidence of the success stories of this conspiracy. We've seen those individuals who you go, how are you saying this? The Jesse Ferguson dude, or whatever, the black dude, y'all know him, the fucking black raisin. He's an example. Huh? They were testing that vibration also when Kanye made the statement of slavery was, whatever he said about slavery, I can't remember now, because I blocked it. It was so ridiculous. This is a test of your vibration, everybody. Because they realize that the whole, well, we're all the same is wearing off. That pill is wearing off. It's wearing off. You see? And we bleed the same. We're all one human race. That's all wearing off. It's wearing off. You see? Kind of like Dorothy when she fucking fell asleep in the goddamn poppy field and then it started snowing. That started wearing off. The bitch come back to life. Hold up. Send in flying monkeys. You see? Because that's worn off. Well, that's wearing off. And the thing now is your vibration. And they use big events and highly visible people to always continue their assault upon our people. Stay with me. You thought you was going to be up here just talking about Naomi Osaka and it was just going to be, nah, this is the Jedi, homie. This is the Jedi. This is the Jedi. You understand? And so that you know that when you come to me, you shouldn't have no expectation. Because it's probably going to exceed that expectation. Or at the very least, confuse it. So, let us now bring in Naomi Osaka, who's been rising, but this was the moment now she's on the radar. Because in preparing for this story, I can tell you that there was some other stuff going back, you know, but nobody knew her. I didn't, you know, and I suggest most of us didn't. So that's what makes this also significant, because now she has arrived in the consciousness of African people. And now it's up to them to immediately define her for us. They want to define her for us in order to tamper with your vibration. Stay with me. So, it's in the middle of a scandal. And what's the best way to influence anybody is in a time of crisis. When they're in chaos, quick, suck my big toe. And they'll just do it. There's no other time that they would do that and would probably punch you. But chaos, quick, suck my big toe. And there you are. Serena's having a meltdown. It's the umpire. Japanese. Well, I'm here to shut it down. And to plug you back in. And to reestablish the vibration, but also to make you aware so that you can guard your vibration with your life. Because your life does depend on it. Allahu Akbar. Now, she's had to remind damn near every reporter that mentions her name, practically, that her father is Haitian. And that indeed she's more black than Japanese because they left Osaka, Japan when she was 3. Interesting that her last name and her place of origin is the same. I'm over it. But, so she left when she was 3. And she grew up in a Haitian household in New York until she was 9. And then she has been in Florida training. But they want to give you Japanese because, digressing back to what I was talking about biblical movies, they give you that. And so they're just like with the Jesus question, they're always finally now, because their lie is so ridiculous, they have to admit that he wasn't white, but then they quickly come in with, but he definitely wasn't black. Because that's out of the question for them. Okay, maybe he wasn't white, but he definitely wasn't black. He was an olive color. They love to go to that. Olive color. He was olive. Well, I eat a lot of olives. And the last fucking olive that I ate didn't look like anybody I've ever seen walking on the planet. Can I put that out there? So what's this olive color bullshit? What's that? What is that? This olive, again, giving you something else and telling you that you're seeing something else. When I say olive, everybody thinks green or black. In fact, when they say that olive shit from now on, you should say, yeah, because there's black olive. So yeah, you're right. He was olive color, but it was black olive. Thank you, because that's the only way he could look like an olive. Would be black. Because there's no beige olive. If there are, somebody please advise the Jedi at this time. So, with the Jesus issue, they go, well, okay, well, he may not have been white, but he definitely wasn't black. Because anything flies over blackness with them. Bring us back to Naomi. Clearly a sister. Hair and all. Hair and all. In fact, she looks like a girl that I dated named Julie. And Julie looked like that. She was that color. She had that just the texture of her skin and stuff like that. How she looked, like that's how Julie looked. And Julie even had the little gold, like she got the little gold highlights or whatever. Julie had some of that going on, but it was curly, like she was a vision. But anyway, so this is clearly a sister. Like just all day, even when you see her move, that's a sister. But while you see a sister, they telling you Japanese. Building collapsing. Same thing. Because they would have to accept now that here out of nowhere, has come another African to beat they ass on the tennis court, and we simply can't have that. So she's olive. Well, she's olive. You see the play that I'm putting on that? She's not olive. You see the play that I'm putting on that based on what we talked about? Follow me out. Follow me, everybody. Follow me. And forgive my speech, everybody, because this gauze, especially, is fucking with me on my right side. Because I'm really going through it with that tooth scraping on my cheek, and I'm at critical mass right now. Anyway. Oh, she's olive. Because they can't beat Venus and Serena. That will never happen. So we need somebody else that we can relate to. She may not be white, but she's definitely not black. So she's Japanese. Follow me, everybody. I'm trying to make a complete and specific point in all of this. But this level of detail is required. This level of descriptiveness and metaphors and things like that is very essential to what I'm trying to communicate to you. So I need you to stay with me. Focus now. Focus. Because I'm trying to, by default and in my presentation, I'm trying to show you the complexity and the level of the conspiracy that goes on against us. And just in this one situation, I'm trying to show you how many moving parts there is, while showing you historical reference and culture of this enemy, consistency of their evil, etc., etc., etc. So they keep mentioning that she's Japanese. And like I said, we know sisters that have eyes like that and they ain't mixed with nobody. That's just, their mama is black and their father is black, and that's how they look. Understand that. We all know a sister that look just like her that is not born in Japan. We just goddamn it do. We know her. So she keeps having to remind people that she is Haitian. Keeps reminding them. One reporter even said to her, so, tell us about how, about your country and this, that. She goes, well, I'm from Florida, so, and then there was this laugh, dumbass. Then there was another reporter that had some question along that same line of vomit, because remember, they all have the same memo. They're all on the same team. And she said, well, my mom's from Japan, but my father is Haitian, so represent. So it was like a little bit of low-key shade she was throwing and pushing back. This is also essential because in their grand scheme, there's always a consistent agenda to keep you confused about who you are. To keep you confused about who you are. And to definitely keep you not desiring to love and long for the place of your origin, which is the motherland. The motherland. So we can't have her be African. We're gonna have to have her be Japanese, because that will completely throw off black people and they'll feel no attachment to her, and so that then by default she will be ours to do with what we want to. We will have more control, even with her imaging. We want to write the story of who she is, because that whole Haitian thing just doesn't work for us. Even though she's clearly a melanated woman. Do you understand? I'm over it. Now, I'm going to expound more, as you can obviously tell, but let us get into this article first now. All right. Is Naomi at the center of another nationality claim? Tennis player Naomi Osaka beat 23-time Grand Slam winner and queen of all damn sports Serena Williams in 6-2, 6-4 win in the US Open. But the reporting of her victory has shunned the spotlight on a worrying disregard for the black excellence that Naomi represents. So we got to throw that out. We cannot have her be Haitian. Not only that, eventually white audiences will start to wane out of their own drowning in their own vomit of jealousy over the fact that they're probably not going to see another golden-haired white heifer out there winning US Opens and Grand Slams and things, you see. So marketing long term in our projections, this whole Haitian thing is not really going to be good for sponsors. We need to make her Japanese. We need to keep her exotic. Quick, put her in a kimono. And maybe she could just hold a samurai sword with her tennis racket as well. Can we get that picture, Bob? Can we get that, Susan? Susan, can you get that? Can you light that? Are you able to get the lighting on that to get that? You see? Oh, it's all there, everybody. Stick with me now. Because remember, tennis is big business. It's big business. The US Open has produced a new winner. Well, even though this publication means well because it's of us, I'm taking license and saying the African community has produced another winner. And then in parentheses, you have a picture of DJ Khaled and an MP3 audio recording of it saying, another one. You see what I'm saying? You just hit repeat. Another one. So I'm saying hit it again. Another one. You see what I'm saying? Just so I'm saying another one. So the black community has produced another winner. Naomi Osaka is young, just 20 years of age, with excellent footwork. When asked what message she had for Serena just after the semifinal victory, Osaka shyly, with a large grin, I love you, Serena. By the way, this is the type of sister I wouldn't mind my nephew, you know what I'm saying, stumbling upon. You feel what I'm saying? Just somebody that's focused in life. It don't have to be her. She don't have to play tennis. I'm just talking about just like, that's what I ultimately want for when I see young sisters like this. Increasingly, I think about my nephew in that context more and more. Like everybody's a potential wife for him in my eyes. Like I'm wife hunting. You know what I'm saying? I can just be at the grocery store and it's the checkout little chick. I'm like, she might be a good one for Nasir. That could be. You know, I already start imagining, and I guess it's just the uncle in me as he gets older. But anyways, however, Naomi's win over Serena left her caught between an umpire who took the fairness out of the damn game and boos from the crowd. Naomi has also been caught at the center of another issue. Excuse me. Interesting, the spelling of center. That's not the center you use for this one. Like I can't. Anyways, going on. She's at the center of another issue, her nationality and origin. Just like the French team that won the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia, the question of the origin of the French players became the center of focus between a continent, Africa, and a country, France. You see? Because it goes back to Barack Obama. He was just a nigga. And he was all things ungodly. And he no chance in hell he would ever be president. Until he was. Suddenly he became biracial. Well, he's biracial. He's half white. He's half white. No, bitch, that's a brother. You see what I'm saying? And African folks, by default, don't mean no disrespect to whoever the parent is that's not black. That's fine. Just you had a hand in this, but the end result is another African. That's just the fact. You see? Kudos to I think it was Mariah Carey's mother who said, you know, she realized her daughter is going to be seen as an African woman, and she didn't feel any insult to, you know, like as if she was being left out or anything like that. She just like released her, like just, it's on you, you know. I'm paraphrasing, but that was basically the spirit of it, and I appreciated that. You feel me? So now, and by the way, she was on Oprah when she said it. Now, I didn't know anything about this French team, but I can surmise just from the context of everything, they were some more African folks. But see, once you win, now suddenly want to claim you. Make you something exotic, and then claim you. Because can't claim you if you're black. So I'm saying, got to be something. They got to do some kind of hocus pocus to it, and then accept it. I cite for you Dr. King. As long as Dr. King was speaking in fantasy language and telling us to go against what is human nature, and that is to take the jugular vein of this devil out their damn neck, to this day they still cite him because that was of benefit to them. But when you have a man who speaks about the benefit of African people and the benefit of African people only, he's a radical. That would be your Malcolm X. You see? As long as you're speaking that kumbaya bullshit, instead of take down those who take you down, you see, as long as you're speaking that fantasy language, they're good with you. So same thing, that same thing continues. We see consistent strains of this DNA through everything. Make it exotic and claim it. Barack Obama's a black man. Wait, he just won? Alright, the Associated Press said he's the next president. Alright, quick. Make him exotic. He's biracial now, and accept him. And claim it. You see? Stay with me now. So, the French team, alright? In a world of increasing multiculturalism and pluralism, but just a second. Increasing multiculturalism. No. The world is already multicultural. You only use words like that when you're including them. But the insinuation is that they're including you when it becomes multicultural. Because they like to believe this fantasy that they are the majority on the earth when they are the absolute, undisputed minority of all humanity. So one has to be careful of words like multiculturalism, because they are people without culture. Everybody else on the earth has culture, so it's already been multicultural. You understand? Multicultural. Culture, everybody. Culture. You see, culture is a historic and honorable, traditional way of doing everything. From your language, that's cultural. The food you fix, that's cultural. How you fix it, that's cultural. Your dances, that's cultural. How you dress, that's cultural. All these things, you see. Everybody else on the earth has a culture that you could reduce to a food. Well, we'll go have a Moroccan restaurant. We'll go to a Japanese restaurant. Or we'll go to a Somali place or something. You see, there's no white place you go to. Oh, I'm in traditional Korean clothing. I'm in traditional Moroccan clothing. I'm in traditional. You see what I'm saying? There is no traditional white clothing. There isn't. I'm trying to help you understand culture. They don't have a culture. So let's be careful and guard against words like multiculturalism, because when it becomes an ism, that means it's something it's been made into something. It's an ism, a fad, a thing, a creation. Ism. You see? Well, we're not an ism. all the cultures of the earth are just that, cultural. There's no ism to it. You understand what I'm telling you? So now, with that understanding, we'll still just read it as it is. In a world of increasing multiculturalism, then it becomes funny to you, and pluralism, where the insistence, where the insistence to be one thing and not another is still very much prevalent. Hear that again. Where the insistence, that's an insinuation. I'm going to break that down. Where the by the way, you guys know I don't read anything before we read it. When you're hearing me, this is my first time that I'm reading it. All right. Where the pluralism, multiculturalism, blah, 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 blah. Where the insistence to be one thing and not another is still very prevalent, comma. Identity has become a huge focus in sports, especially when it involves black players. Now, I said insinuation because that is where the insistence to be one thing and not another. That only comes from white people. They're the ones insisting that you're something other than what you are. Well, he's biracial. He's biracial. Huh? Well, Naomi Osaka, she's actually Japanese. She's Asian. She's actually Asian. The insistence to be one thing and not another. And I would add the word their, T-H-E-I-R, insistence on everyone else being one thing and not another. So this all describes them, from the French players down to the period right here, point blank, and the goddamn it period. All of that is them. Your multiculturalism, your pluralism, your insistence on being one thing and not that. You know what I'm saying? Let's go on. In a world increasingly blah blah blah, where the insistence to be one thing and not another is still very much prevalent, and I would add obsessed on by them, has become a huge focus for white folks and their sports, because they don't want to have to sit up and just only watch black people achieving excellence all goddamn day. And it says especially when it involves black players. So that means that black players don't have an issue with it. Nobody but white people has an issue. It becomes an issue with us when it's us. Damn it! Another black bitch! Quick, make her Asian. Who cares if she's from New York and Florida and only lived in Japan till she was 3? God damn it, she's Asian, and we say so. Quick, put a kimono on her. Tennis star and supermodel Naomi Osaka was born in Japan. Her mother is Japanese, that's fine. Her father is from Haiti. She grew up in America in a Haitian household with her grandmother at that. You see? So she was steeped in it. Steeped, because that's the grandmother. They always hold the truth of everything, down to your very DNA. It all lies with the grandmother. All of it. Now, when asked by a white reporter, because we just add that because nobody black would ask this. When asked by a white reporter about her identity, she said, quote, "My dad is Haitian. So I grew up in a Haitian household in New York. So sat your bitch ass down." Okay, I'm being told it didn't say that last part. I'm being told. I'm being told. All right. I lived with my grandma. My mom is Japanese, and I grew up with the Japanese culture too. See? In other words, I know about that. You see what I'm saying? But this was my daddy's mama. I am Haitian. Read whose World Cup victory is it anyway? Africa or France? Oh, that's World Cup. Okay. Read African countries are losing out on their football talent. They need to figure out why. Okay. While a lot has been said about Naomi being the first Japanese woman to win the Grand Slam, no reference by this devil has been made to Naomi being the first Haitian to win the Grand Slam. Hardly any headlines refer to her as Haitian Japanese. And according to the New York Times Magazine, the fact that Naomi represents Japan in the tennis Federation tournament is a decision that was made by her father. Now, I will tell you this in case they don't mention it. Well, let's read on. The deliberate omission of the black heritage and the origin of black players who make it into the limelight in sports or other professions is part of the continued narrative that people from developing countries have to suffer. Oh, wait now. I don't want to get too far because there's a lot to object to just so far. It is equally an erasure of anything spectacular coming from a developing country. I gotta stop because we'll get too far and then they say okay, but anyways. Alright, so look, first of all, in case they don't mention it, it was decided by her father to have her represent her country of birth because he knew how these white devils would react, and it would be a lot easier for her just from the technical standpoint, the business end of it, the technical stuff for her to get through just if she went with Japanese. And also when you think about funding, because remember I said tennis is a business, so when you think about funding and people sponsoring and all sorts of things, it's going to be a lot better if you represent yourself from the nation of Japan than if you represent yourself from Haiti. But let us be clear, her father was never saying represent yourself as an Asian. He's saying she's just choosing that country to represent. Not like, oh, I'm suddenly not Haitian. You see, that's not what the brother was saying at all. We need to be very clear about that. All right. It says the deliberate omission of the black heritage. I'd take that out. That's why I just explained that. There's no omission of the black heritage. No. This was just it's just like I'm the Jedi. I'm from Southside Chicago. Well, we left Chicago when I was a child. I'm kind of like her in a way. Okay, I was older than her, but older than 3. But I'm saying like, I lived in Chicago as a child, but I still represent Chicago. Still Southside. You see what I'm saying? And I always will. That is my place of birth. My mother is buried in Chicago, the one who gave life to me. So I represent that. You understand? But that's what she's doing. Representing. But they're saying the deliberate omission of the black heritage. No, you can't omit the black heritage because you see her standing in front of you. Go, that's a sister. So again, language becomes important. How we talk and describe things is essential. And this is another example of that. Of why that's so critical. The wrong language is being used here. Wow. Anyway, the deliberate omission of black heritage and origin of black players who make it into the line. And you know what? I'll rescind some of that because you may have some players in other sports from other countries who they don't look as African as Naomi, and so maybe they might just delete that they're actually black. So perhaps this is what is encompassed in the statement there from the writer. So we'll allow this. All right. But my point still stands in its principle, but that this is just more wide-ranging in their statement. All right, that's fine. All right. So now, the deliberate omission of black heritage and origin of black players who make it into the limelight in sports or other professions, and that we've done that forever. You see what I'm saying? We've had black folks who could pass, back in the day, and they went in the front door and they did all the things, and nobody knew they was actually black. You see, in other professions, is part of the continued narrative that people from developing countries have to suffer. I would say no, not developing countries, just black folk anywhere where white folks fucking exist. You see what I'm saying? If it's still at that level. You see, there's still a lot of racism that goes on in soccer. They be throwing bananas down at black players and shit. I'm over it. Because again, wherever they exist, there is racism. And drama over race and identity and everything else, quite frankly. You see? So let us not put this developing countries bullshit have to suffer. And let us also be careful of this term developing countries, everybody, because I was recently, where was I? I don't know, it was somewhere. Anyway, and there was this white couple. I think I was at the lab. Anyways, there was this white couple, and something, and I'm not one of these people that gets into nobody's conversation. That's for white folks. All right. But anyway, and it's something he said. He goes, it's just like these developing countries, these third world countries. I go, and I couldn't take it. I go, what is a third world country? What does that mean? I said, because America is the youngest piece of shit on the map. Everything else is many, many thousands of years old. Please define this developing country shit to me. You see, because technology is not what defines a society, everybody. That's all fantasy. Just because you don't have a smartphone doesn't mean you're a third world country. And everybody doesn't need to develop. There are many dynasties that we would visit now from our time that were the most impressive thing of their day. And in your state of mind that they've given you, you would march into that dynasty and say, oh, this is a third world, they're developing, when they're the pinnacle of the existence of their time. So let us not be distracted by technology and gadgetry and shit. When you're talking about humanity and a pure human experience from birth to death, the cycle of existence on the earth, all this distractory shit, just because you got a microwave or some bullshit, that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of existence, everybody. You got to change your worldview and your perception of existence. You got to change that. And then the statement I just made about developing countries and third world countries will make more sense to you, because you'll understand where that's coming from. You can really understand where that's coming from. I didn't know I was going to get this deep, goddammit. But we're going in. Alright. It is equally an erasure of anything spectacular coming from a developing nation. In other words, that would be ridiculous that anything amazing could come from these so-called developing countries. It is therefore not surprising that while Naomi might have genuine ties to Haiti, damn, this thing is killing me, y'all. Because I have to talk a certain way so I don't bite it. And then if I have the gauze in, you'll hear that I'm having other issues. Damn it. I can't. Plus it won't stay still. It's sliding around. Your boy is going through it. Wait, let me do this. It's going to be really jacked up, but just bear with me, y'all. Testing. Talk. Okay. It is therefore not surprising that while Naomi might have genuine ties to Haiti, to Western media or white media, she is a Japanese American. I'm over it. See? But also notice, and this is not an indictment of this publication or this writer. This terminology. See, because again, white people, white media, white existence, anybody that comes here or lives here, doesn't matter how many generations they are, a 16-year-old Korean now who is like 20th generation or something, they will still call him Korean American. You're the only thing they're trying to put a color on. You're just black. You have no place of origin. That's why I've said it's important to refer to yourself as an African. As an African. Nobody else on the earth is being referred to as some splash of color. No one. And that's deliberate. That's deliberate. You must refer to yourself as an African. And you can throw that American bullshit out because you're not an American. They let you know that every goddamn day. So white media, she is Japanese American. Despite the color of her skin and her height, which is not typically Japanese, because again, she's a sister, the Haitian side of her identity is being ignored deliberately. It seems that to share and celebrate the excellence that emerges from a developing country is still a taboo, whether it's football, tennis, or beyond. I want to start. You see, they use that whole developing country. Now I have to indict the writer of this. Haiti is not a developing country, everybody. It is the first sovereign African nation to break away from fucking slavery. And every time that they are just about to, and they're an organized democratic society and all that stuff. What's developing about them? I'd like to know the answer to that. And every time that they are about to come to any type of progress, they use their technology to cause an earthquake in Haiti. These massive earthquakes that Haiti has had in the last several years have been generated by this fucking devil. Period. They've had that technology at least since before Vietnam. The Vietnam War. Or aggression. You see? They can cause earthquakes. And they've been doing that to Haiti forever. But earthquakes aside, Haiti is not a developing country, everybody. Because, I'm over it. Anyways, but it seems that to share and celebrate any excellence that emerges from a black country, we'll just say that, is taboo, whether it's football, tennis, or beyond. Okay, that's the end of it. I thought there was more. Alright. That's fine, because I have another one that I sourced that's older, and I want to see, based on the headline, it looked like that there was a time when they were speaking more correctly about this, but again, she's now come into the lexicon of being a household name, and she's known, and she's a champion that beats Serena Williams. She's got to be exotic. We cannot have her being Asian. Quick, put her in a damn kimono. Do it now. Alright, and so, but this is her father, a black king, clearly. That's her mama. I guess that's her sister. And then that's her. See what I'm saying? It's just like, I had a very good friend of mine when I was in high school named Rolando. And Rolando, his father is black as this brother right here. And his mama was Filipina. With a very thick accent. She had to say everything 10 times so you'd understand her. And Rolando was a black brother. You understand what I'm saying? Period. I mean, they might as well just accept. You are whatever you are until we touch you. Once we touch you, you become us. It's that simple. Period. Period. Black people have black babies. We just goddamn it do. We dictate the race of the baby. We just do. And God is showing you that. You see? If He meant for it to be ambiguous, it would be. But we see clearly. Now, I chose this one because it said, who is Naomi Osaka? 19-year-old stole U.S. Open spotlight with round 1 set. And this is from 2017, so that was also perfect. Alright, but I always scan down. Unfortunately, I didn't do it on our last one, but I usually scan down just to see how long is the article. Is it going to be War and Peace and all that? And so when I did, I saw this. She's Japanese, Haitian, and American. So I was like, okay, that's the one then. So I hope they're going to be saying what they should be saying given the date and what I suspect. Because what I suspect is that before she became the girl that beat Serena Williams, that they were probably more relaxed about, mentioning that she's Haitian and all that. You see, it was okay for her to be that then. But once you become the champion, then they have to claim that. You know what I'm saying? Anything that we have that's good, they have to steal that. That's with everything. We've seen that in history. You know what I'm saying? Including our entire civilizations, whatever. We have something good, they must steal it. Naomi Osaka didn't simply beat defending U.S. Open Angelique Kerber. She dominated 6-3, 6-1 as a wild card in the first round. Naomi might be a new face, or it might be a new name to those who tune in for the second weeks of Grand Slams, even though she's made the third round in all 4 major tournaments. But the 19-year-old has been a rising force for more than 2 years on the WTA circuit. Here's what you need to know about her. She's Japanese, Haitian, and American. But we noticed that they put Japanese first, and then the comma. You know what I'm saying? That's on purpose. Remember, you always have a writer, a publisher, and an editor. They decided it was going to be in that order. You understand? That is deliberate, everybody. That is deliberate. It is on purpose. Naomi's mother is Japanese. You got to mention her first. Not really mad because it's the mother, but still, that's not their purpose. All right. Naomi's mother is Japanese, and her father is Haitian. She was born in Osaka, Japan, but raised in America. New York and Fort Lauderdale are home. As a result, she has dual citizenship and chose to represent Japan. USA Today Sports Nick somebody spoke with Naomi about her background last year, so he would have spoken to her in 2016. Naomi was born in Japan but raised in the United States. Speaks barely any Japanese. Hello? Anyone? Anyone? And she could be the next great superstar in Japanese tennis. It's on an island by itself. The building is collapsing. The building is collapsing. The building is collapsing. They just told you she was born in Japan, raised in the United States, and doesn't speak any fucking Japanese. Period. Then on an island all by itself, not with the next paragraph. No. Its own sentence, its own representation, all alone, just floating along, and she could be the next great superstar in Japanese tennis. Are you following me, my people? Am I wasting my time? Talk to me. Talk to me. Because this doesn't do any good if I can't make it make sense to you. If I can't explain it to you properly, then there's no value here. I'm alone. You see? My aim is to help you see what I understand. So you see, it's all by itself, with its own period, not attached to anything. And it begins with an and. And, which is grammatically incorrect. You can't just begin a sentence on its own. Think if this was the beginning of the paragraph, beginning of the article, and it just began and. You can't do that. But there it is. There's a period after Japanese, and there's a period after tennis. This is its own sentence. So I just walk up to you and go, and she could be the next great superstar in Japanese, and you'd be like, who, what? Like, you need some reference before that and. And means there's something else before that, and this is in addition to the thought. And so desperate are they to make this proclamation that grammatics don't matter. Throw that out. Who cares about English law? Quick, she's gonna be the next Japanese tennis star, damn it, so we can relate to her, because we can't relate to her, she's fucking black. Put her in a kimono, do it. Wow. Quote, I can't understand why more Japanese stop, Jedi. Quote, I can understand why more Japanese stop, Jedi. Quote, I can understand way more Japanese than I can speak, end quote. They give us that quote after they put in their insertion, their and insertion, because wouldn't it have made more sense if they had said, she raised in the United States, speaks barely any Japanese. Then it should say, quote, I can understand way more Japanese than I can speak. That would have been proper. But they were so desperate to proclaim she's going to be the great Japanese tennis star, throw out all law and reason, damn it, put her in a kimono, do it now. I can understand way more Japanese than I can speak, Naomi told USA Today Sports in an interview. Quote, and when I go to Japan, people are confused. From my name, they don't expect to see a black girl. So, that's the end quote. So, this is her speaking, and she's referred to herself as a black girl. And citing that she is seen as an African in Japan. Because she says, when I go to Japan, people are confused. They see my name, Osaka, and they don't expect to see a sister. You see? But by pointing this out, this shows you the desperation going on, the desperation that they're going through. Quick, put her in a kimono, do it now. When she began to develop into a top-rate tennis player a few years ago, her father, Leonard Francois, chose the Japanese Tennis Association over the United States Tennis Association because they're the devil, and because of Naomi's dual passport. She played under the Japanese flag ever since. It just made more sense. Well, she's more Japanese than American by default to the fact that she was born in Japan. So, why represent the place where you weren't born at, even though you grew up in the other place? So it just made sense. You see? And as I said, it was also for funding and all that, And he knew it would be the politics of race. But anyways, she played on the Japanese flag ever since. Quote, it's interesting, end quote. Naomi, 18, says of the arrangement, quote, I feel there's not really anybody like me. It seems like more of a challenge being from Japan. I never thought about the American competition in tennis, I just thought about playing tennis. You see? Perhaps there is one person who can relate. Her older sister, Naomi Osaka, also plays professionally, though she hasn't reached the same heights. Uh-oh, they could be the next Venus and Serena. Watch out there. Watch out there now. Watch out there now. Her first breakthrough came last year. Okay. Naomi has never won an professional. You only use "an" when there's a vowel that's going to follow everybody. You can't have "an" and have a consonant. An, has never won a professional. Who are these fucking people? Where's my punch at? Naomi has never won a professional tournament, but she made waves with a couple of final spots on the lower tours in 2015. Then in 2016, she started beating the big shots. Quick, put her in a kimono, do it now. She made the third rounds of the Australian and French Opens in her first two appearances in the main draws of Grand Slams, but her biggest milestone was reaching the final in Tokyo's Toray Pan-Pacific Open in September of 2016, losing to Caroline Bigword after beating Dominika Bigword, somebody else, and more. All right. She has a cosign from Serena Williams. Like many tennis players of her generation, Naomi idolizes Serena. For context, Williams got her first win against top 10 player Mary Pierce and Monica Seles at the Ameritech Cup in November of 1997, a few weeks after Naomi was born. And Serena took note of the rising teen during the 2016 Australian Open. Quote, "I've seen her play. She's really young and really aggressive. She's really good. Talented player. Very dangerous." Naomi has never faced the younger Williams sister, but she lost to Venus in the third round of Wimbledon this year. Naomi recorded a 125-mile-an-hour serve at the 2016 U.S. Open, a speed that only 8 women ever have topped. Given that most players become more powerful as they get older, that should scare opponents. One thing she needs to improve on: tricks. But when it comes to hitting a tennis ball using the stringed part of her racket, she's already impressive. So, this was illuminating as well, everybody. I didn't know what this was going to bring us, and what I was hoping it was going to bring was to show that the media was speaking more freely about her being an African, instead of just completely omitting it. I think that was done here to at least some small degree, but I feel like even more came out of it because of the points that I was able to bring. They're determined that, damn it, she's going to be Japanese no matter what, and nothing else. And I think what really cinched it for me was when we got down here and they had out on its very own island this part here, and she could be the next great superstar in Japanese tennis. I'm over it. Goddamn it, even Haiti is even closer to America than goddamn it Japan. You feel me? So we need to understand that this sister is that. She's a sister. This is an African girl, period. I'm gonna call her girl right now because she ain't 21. God damn it. That's what I'm saying. And being that I'm older than her at 25, that gives me the right to call her a girl. You know what I'm saying? When she get my age, 25, so I'm saying I'll call her a woman. Feel me? Just understand that. So I'm saying. So I'm saying. Be clear. So I'm saying. So I'm saying. That's a sister. Period. To damn end. She's too tall to be a Japanese. And her whole movement and everything about her is black woman, black female, black sister, African goddess. You see? But I wanted to help you to understand in this overall piece that we must now guard over her identity. As a people, as a group, she's ours. O-U-R-S. She's ours. She's ours. And we know how Japanese folks feel about us any damn way. They not all in love with us. You see? We know our history with them. Any of these damn Asians, quite frankly, you know, it's some bullshit. She's ours. And we need to begin to claim her now, and forcefully so. When you're in close company, or you're speaking to anyone that's not us and they trying to pull up this Japanese bullshit, you correct. You correct. And say, no, that's a black woman. She's black. She's black. And she even proclaimed it herself when she talked about her experience of being in Japan. What was the quote? And when I go to Japan, people are confused. From my name, they don't expect to see what? A black girl. She didn't say they don't expect to see a biracial girl. Or none of that bullshit. They don't expect to see what? A black girl. End quote. Damn it. So this is a black girl. And we also know she's got her head on right when it comes to dating and, you know, picking a mate and all that stuff. You feel me? And which also further expresses to us how she feels about her own personal identity. Because she was on Ellen, and Ellen was asking her, Ellen had asked her, you know, does she have any celebrity crushes? You know, like she's like, what about dating? Do you have any celebrity crushes or whatever? And she, without flinching and having to think about it, she said, I like the guy from Black Panther. He was the villain. She couldn't say his name real quick. His name wouldn't come to her at that point. And Ellen goes, oh, Michael B. Jordan. She goes, yeah, I really like him. And they put a big picture of him up and everything like that. You feel me? So we don't need to worry, at least at this stage, of her derailing on us like Serena did. You see what I'm saying? By bringing home some fucking hunched over goddammit Neanderthal. We just simply don't need that. Just don't need it. So, she's ours. And like I say, she didn't become, they didn't become up with all this obsessing on her being Japanese until she beat Serena Williams, and now they're ramping it up. Every reporter is asking her the damn question. Every one of them. Every one of them. Because there's this mad dash now to quickly make her exotic, so that she can be palatable for white people. Fuck that. You take her as she is, or you don't take her at all. And always remember that she is ours. Last thing I want to say is my next video that I'm bringing for you guys is a heavy hitter. And I had an epiphany while doing that video. I began to understand something about myself. And that is, in my previous work, my revolution and liberation stuff that I was doing for most of my time that I've been on YouTube, I always guarded against never going too far away from the curriculum. Like, nah, that's gotta stay on message, stay on that. So there's a lot of things I would not even allow myself to bring, because I don't want my people to get distracted. I gotta stay on message. I gotta stay on message. We gotta stay on this. We gotta stay on this. We gotta stay on this. And what I realized, by default of what I'm doing now, I can deviate whenever I want to. So it gives me more freedom, if you will, or more. I don't want to use the word freedom because, goddammit, I'm free. It gives me more, carte blanche to just do what I want. Just do what I want. Do what I want. And so that when I do stray away from what is my stated curriculum, what separates this from what I was doing before is because before it was a mission. This is not a mission. This is curriculum. And so I can deviate from that when I want and come back. I realized that mid-video of the video that I'm bringing for you after this. This next video is very important, everybody, because it really speaks to, it's a challenge, really, to white people. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's kind of like, when you have somebody talking about they this or they that, you say, well, show me then. Show me. You know what I'm saying? Somebody walks up and says they're a magician. Quick, do a magic trick. Well, then you're not. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you would show me. Somebody says they're a comedian. Say something funny. Well, then you're not, if they're not trying to show you. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you say you rich. You say you, well, then show me, you claim you got, oh, I can't show it to you right now because my money's tied up. No, well, then you not rich then. Shut your ass down. Shut your dusty ass down. You see. So it's more complex than that, but the metaphor is that simple, at its core. That's what I'm essentially doing. It's a challenge to white folks. You see what I'm saying? As my grandmother would say, shit or get off the pot. I love that. So that will be the next piece that you'll receive from me. I also want to say thank you to everyone who has been donating to the GoFundMe. Thank you guys so much. Anyone that's under the sound of my voice that has not donated, please, for the love of God, the link is in the description box underneath this video. Go and give $1 if that's all you got. It does not, there's no set amount, everybody. If you got $1, I'm grateful for that. If you got $100, I'm grateful for that. If you got $1 million, I'm grateful for whatever. You just give what you can. And let us reach this goal. We can get it done. We can. We can. So please go and do that now. Do that now. Do that now. Also on that, I want to say, when you donate on the GoFundMe, and this also goes for those of you who have already donated, hear this now. But for new donors as well, when you donate on the GoFundMe, there's a comment. It makes it so you can leave a comment if you like. You can do that, but also if you want to leave your mailing information, I have some really special gifts that I think would be absolutely appropriate and I think you're going to really enjoy. And so if you want to leave your mailing information, then I will be mailing out a special gift to you. And as I say, for those of you who have already donated, you can go back to the GoFundMe and add that to your comment, and I'll get that. And then also that you can also receive the special gift as well. It's something fantastic, and I think that you guys will really, I'm excited about it, and I think you will be too. So if you're new, then add that, and then if you're old, you can go back and add it. I just think it's a great idea. And again, thanks to everyone who has donated, and also thank you to everyone who has been thumbs upping the video, you guys, and sharing them, because like I say, it's a two-way street. You expect for me to do the work. I expect for you to do the work. My job as the channel host is to present content, the very best that I can give you. Your job is to thumbs up and share the videos. This is our channel. I'm just the host. I'm the voice for us. You understand? This is ours. So we we must all play a role in assuring that the information that we are cultivating here on this channel, that it gets shared with the rest of the world. You understand? So you are the couriers. Now go take it. Go take it. Go take it and thumbs up the video. And you guys have been doing a really fantastic job with that too. I'm really pleased. You know, I'm absolutely pleased. So keep up the good work. Thumbs up and share. I'll see you soon.